You are now listening to Cryptid Cocktail Party. Creatures, let's meet for a drink. It's a treat. Join us in the fight. Cryptid Cocktail Party. Cryptid Cocktail Party.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, take a dive into the unknown. I'm your host Dave, joined as always by All Beef Daddy, aka Sarge. How's it going, buddy?
Hiya! What's up?
You doing karate now?
Yeah, why not?
Fair enough.
I mean, I don't actually know karate, and I feel like anyone who did know karate would be able to beat me up pretty handily. But I respect the hustle.
I think you'd hold your own for like a minute.
I'd have to like do a bear hug.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I just have to like
grappling.
wrap my arms around them and lift them off the ground.
Get real Lenny of them nice from a Vice and Men with it.
Yes.
Gotcha,
That would be my only move.
But how you doing, bud? You looking good as always.
Thank you. Doing great.
Yeah.
Doing great. Work is busier than ever.
Yeah.
I get to go back to California for funsies. And yeah. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Nothing new going on. It's just all the same stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I got nothing going on. I feel like I don't normally. I feel like after seeing dinosaurs the other weekend, I don't think anything will really, like, I'm just not interested in doing anything else.
Yeah.
So
like candy doesn't taste as sweet anymore.
the candy of life, just fucking over it, dude. Yeah, nothing. No, I got nothing going on, dude. Everything is just.
I felt that way when the Bruins traded away Brad Marchand. Unacceptable.
You know what?
These fucking assholes.
I can really relate. I can't. I don't know anything about sports. I have no idea what you just said to me. It's like you're speaking a foreign language.
It's okay. You're better off, frankly, at this point, because the Bruins are trash this year.
All right, Sarge. Before this episode starts, we got a couple things to go over.
Okay.
One of them is that we got a listener story.
Yes.
Emailed to us, and it kind of fits somewhat with the topic of today's episode in a way, sort of. You'll figure it out. But yeah, you wanna.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So this comes from Peter Quint. He's actually the host of another podcast called Good Beer, Bad Movie Night. It's pretty good. Just check it out.
Nice.
His email reads, "Hi, Dave and Sarge. Here's one personal story of the spooky kind. I grew up in rural Northwest Ohio, where it's very flat and corn as far as the eye can see, and there aren't any lights on the road, so it gets really dark out there. One summer night, when I was in high school, my mom and I were driving home late at night when we both saw a bright light in the sky in the distance. We are far from any sort of airport, and the only planes we ever see in the sky were crop dusters during the day and nothing at night. The light was so unusual we both mentioned and giggled, saying it had to be a UFO. We just watched it sort of hang out there in the sky. It was really hard to judge how far away or how big it was. It didn't really blink, it was just there. The next instance, it was just gone, as if it was never there to begin with. We didn't see it streak away, we didn't see it change colors or really move at all. It just vanished as if a light switch had been turned off. That's it. Not very impressive. It could have been anything. It probably wasn't a UFO, but that moment is delightfully burned in my brain as a quote-unquote encounter. The story is real. Can't say for sure that it was a UFO. And then he says he has 2 more stories that he'll send us later. So there you go. There you have
nice.
it. Yeah.
Send them.
Yeah.
And you know what? I kind of like that he didn't try and shoehorn that into something. He was just like, it could have been a UFO.
Yeah, you know
it
what?
felt like it might have been.
I mean, to him, it was unidentified.
I mean, yeah, to the definition of the term, it was unidentified. I actually had a similar situation when I was overseas. It was real late at night, and we were doing a night kind of convoy training.
Mm-hmm.
And so we drive into this like built up pretend compound in Baghdad. You know, it's kind of built for like training purposes.
Yeah.
So we drive into it, and it's real late at night, and I am fucking exhausted.
Okay.
And so I'm in the turret, of my truck, and I'm like just trying to stay awake. And I look out in the distance and I see this like light kind of, it's almost like it's swaying in the sky.
Okay. Like a pendulum of light.
Kind of, not because it's just the light.
Yeah.
And I'm just seeing the light kind of move back and forth. And I'm like, planes don't do that. Helicopters, what the fuck is that thing? And so I very excitedly, after the training exercise is over, I'm like talking to some of the guys and I'm like, dude, I think I saw a UFO. And I like point over to where I thought I saw it. And they're like, you idiot. And I was like, what? And so apparently, and I realize this now.
You're going to say something real dumb. You're going to sound real dumb, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. They put up balloons in the sky with like lights on them. And the balloons are attached to a cable that holds them to the ground.
Okay.
And those balloons will pick up disturbances in the air to indicate whether incoming mortar rounds are being shot at us.
Okay.
So that would explain why the light was kind of like gently moving back and forth, because it was it's a fucking balloon. I mean, it was high up.
Yeah, no,
it was high up. So in my defense,
to be fair,
weird.
A lot of people mistake like Mylar balloons and shit like that for UFOs. So I mean, it's not that too bad. All right. So second piece of whatever that we need to go over before we dive into this
new
episode.
Business. The second order of business.
Second order of business. There we go. Is we have a bit of
wholesome content.
Wholesome content.
Yeah, so it's not really wholesome content. What it is I told you everyone last week that I would explain why we did the Christian cocktail party thing. And
oh, yes.
For those of you who don't follow us on Instagram, we received one of the best reviews we could ever possibly wanted to get. It's so good.
I give this review 5 stars.
Yeah, so I'll just read it and then you'll understand why we did the whole Christian cocktail party thing. So this comes from a user on Beansprout, which I don't ever use, so I never check it, and I just randomly decided one day to see what was up. This was 4 months ago that they posted this. It says, I came to learn about cryptids, and while I enjoyed that aspect of these, they felt the need to shove their woke pseudo-historical history into the podcast. They claim they aren't a political podcast, yet when people get annoyed with them shoving their politics into the episodes, they call them fascists. They research all this stuff about cryptids, but don't take time to research Christianity and see why many believe in it. Here's a start. Evidence That Demands a Verdict by Josh McDowell. And that's the whole review. I mean,
no notes.
They're right in a sense that we don't study Christianity and take the time to figure out why people believe in it. But also, I don't think we've never been annoyed by people being annoyed by the fact that we say our beliefs on this show, especially not enough to call them fascists on the show.
I think it's kind of a wild flex to hear us rail against racism and the subjugation of people.
Yeah.
And find that in like interpret that as an immediate attack on your belief system. Like maybe, I don't know, you believe in the wrong thing is what we said was bad for you.
I just want to know what they mean by pseudo-historical history. I have no idea what that means, but it's great.
Yeah, we don't make up history. We just find the actual sources of history and use them.
Is this show woke? I don't think we're
woke. I think we're like,
just
anti-racism.
We're just normal human beings. That's all we are. We're just people.
We frown on, I don't know, stealing Native American folklore and turning it into your entertainment.
Well, see, that's pretty woke, Sarge. I don't know if I can.
Oh, okay.
Now that you say it like that, I hear it.
I also like that he was immediately associated all of that with anti-Christian behavior.
Dude, that's just how they are, man. It's
the silliest shit I've ever heard. Okay, buddy.
Okay. All right, let's move on. You ready to dive into today's episode?
Yeah, hold on. Let me just grab my Bible so that I can continue to study.
All right. This episode got away from me. It's going to be a little bit longer than our normal ones, probably. Which is good. People say they want longer episodes, so this one's for you guys. It's so big, in fact, that it's going to be 2 parts. And
yes, 2-parter.
Yeah, we're going to be covering something it's kind of in the realm of things we've covered before, and that is the secret space program. Now, there are several
it.
secret space programs, but we're going to cover a specific person. His name is Captain Mark Richards. Are you familiar with him at all or anything that he's...
No, a name doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. You're in for a wild fucking ride, dude. You're not ready for anything I'm about to tell you. So for those of you who may be unfamiliar with who this is, and there's probably a lot of you listening who do know who he is and know where this story is heading, so just get ready to hear Sarge's reaction to all of it. Captain Mark Richards is a whistleblower with decades of experience in interstellar warfare, alien diplomacy, and classified military ops the public has never been allowed to know about. He's led missions across the solar system, commanded advanced off-world technology, and worked alongside non-human allies to defend Earth from threats that, again, you probably wouldn't know about, which, I mean, makes sense. It's all secret science.
Yeah.
So that's probably stands to reason why you probably would be unfamiliar with him.
Right. No, he's got to maintain his cover. I understand.
Yeah, but Sarge, we're going to change all that. I'm going to make you very unfamiliar.
We're going to be exposed
with Captain Mark Richards. All right, so Mark Richards was born in 1953 into a highly classified world of covert military activity and alleged extraterrestrial contact, all thanks to his father, Major Ellis Lloyd Ragers Jr. Now, Major Richards was a career military officer and was heavily involved in secret defense projects during the Cold War. Now, according to later interviews and some documents circulating in some of the more fringe parts of the internet, Major Richards was not only aware of non-human intelligences, but actively worked alongside them as part of an international security alliance operating outside of conventional government oversight. Secret space program.
Here it comes.
So it's no surprise that the Major, that's how I'm going to refer to Mark's dad going forward.
The Major
pretty much groomed Mark from an early age to pretty much follow in his footsteps. I mean, you can't just pass this kind of information to some random ding dong. You got to keep this in your circle of trust.
Everyone knows that military history military power is mostly passed through heredity.
Yeah. Is that not how it works? That's how it works in North Korea.
I feel it makes sense to me.
Yeah. But according to Mark, his exposure to all the classified programs and alien contacts began pretty much as soon as this dude could walk or talk. In one of Mark's more notable claims, he talked about how he attended an interstellar conference in England in 1961 at the ripe old age of 8, where he got to meet a 9-foot-tall raptor prince. Now, what's a raptor? You may be asking yourself. Sarge, you ever seen Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Now think that.
But he's got a crown.
Yeah.
Wearing a lot of purple.
Yeah, just imagine the blue from Jurassic World, but smart, technologically advanced and apparently pretty politically complex. But thankfully,
very savvy.
Yeah, they entered into an alliance with a few select human factions. So thank God we're not fighting against them; they are fighting with us. All right, so that should make you feel a little bit better.
Thank God, indeed.
Yeah, so it was at this event that basically marked the beginning of what would lead to Mark's lifelong involvement with non-human entities and off-world operations, the secret space program. Now, under the mentorship of the Major, Mark was balls deep in covert military protocols, intelligence operations, and what he later described as quote-unquote cosmic politics. Some of his early education in this field was exposure to Cold War era psychic warfare research, things like experimental programs and telepathy, remote viewing, mind control, which were all areas.
The men who stare at goats.
Yeah, it's all areas that overlapped with some of the real life initiatives being worked on both by the U.S. and the Soviet defense agencies during the time. We covered a bunch of these already, the actual programs. If you want to learn more about those, you can go ahead and find them. I don't remember the names of what they were, but there's some.
MK Ultra, the Majestic 12.
Yeah, but it's like we did the Montauk Project and shit like that. It's that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fake shit. The stuff that isn't actually real.
No, it's real, dude. So
it's very real. Yeah. Very real.
Now, as he got older, in his early teens, I think is what I read, Richards was enrolled in a joint human-alien military training program, specifically an elite academy developed in coordination with the Raptors. Now, this program, which is entirely hidden from public records, so good luck fact checking me, was said to combine advanced combat training, psychological conditioning, and diplomatic instruction designed to prepare human cadets for service in what would later be referred to as Secret Space Program.
I want to know, in these joint exercises, did they wear like matching uniforms?
Like, did they make specific uniforms for the Raptors?
Yeah.
I don't know. I assume, in my head, I just picture like like Mark Richards on a motorcycle and then the rest of the Raptors running behind him, just like fucking like, is that, that's just what I picture.
A bunch of Raptors in really shiny boots, but with like holes cut out for their talons.
And their tail.
Yeah, and their tail for the pants.
Yeah. Now, in conjunction with his military and psychic training, Mark also cultivated himself a pretty broad skill set. He became fluent in multiple languages, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. He trained extensively in fencing and martial arts. He mastered various forms of advanced weaponry and served as a test pilot for prototype aircrafts. And academically, this dude's fucking crushing it. He was described as an honor student and a genius tactical theorist with a deep understanding of strategic operations, history, and interspecies diplomacy. Now, by the time he finished college in the 70s, Mark Richards had reportedly already been involved in several low-level off-world assignments and had been marked for command within an international secret task force that operated beyond conventional nation-state boundaries.
That must have been really tough, like flying to Mars, then coming right back to study for your finals.
Well,
challenging.
I'm assuming this had to be like a joint college for humans and Raptors. There's no way you're just going to fucking like BU. Like, like, I can't imagine that's what's going on. It has to be. I didn't look into what college he went to, or
I'd be interested to know what the mascot for that college would be. Because like when your student body is Raptors, like you feel like you need to get tougher than that. You know,
unless this is college
fighting T-Rexes.
Unless this college is based in Toronto, and then
then they could just keep the name.
Yeah, then you're fine. Yeah. So it was this foundation that would define the course of Mark Richards' life. From this point forward, Richards would enter what he described as active service in a clandestine interplanetary defense network, a coalition of human and non-human forces working to protect Earth from external threats and shape its role in a broader cosmic sense. So, by the mid-70s, Mark Richards' covert service has officially begun. His early assignments included work as an officer in the Vietnam War, but with a dual purpose. One involving conventional military operations, and the other centered on extraterrestrial reconnaissance and recovery efforts hidden under the guise of traditional conflict.
That's kind of weird. So
why is that so weird, Sarge? What about this is weird?
1961.
What about this
1961, is weird? He said he was, 8 years old?
Sure.
Okay, so 10 years from that is 1971, which means he would have been 18. The Vietnam War ended in 74. So he would have been an officer at 21 years old? How does that work?
Because he's fucking a genius. Were you not paying attention to anything I just said?
Right. You know what? I forgot about the being a pathological liar who's good at karate. Forgot about that part. Now it makes sense.
His dad's a major, and what have we already discussed is that the way
you got to pass it
the
down.
way the military works. Yeah, it's called nepotism.
Your firstborn son gets your officer candidacy.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
That's how I always assumed it worked. Now, following Vietnam, Richards transitioned into full-time service within what was described as an off-world branch of military intelligence. He then attained the rank of Navy captain and was assigned to a classified unit operating beyond Earth. One of his first major operations in this role took place in July of 1976. This mission, later referred to as the Battle of China Gates, involved a direct confrontation with a remnant faction of Nazi German elites who had allegedly escaped justice after World War II and formed an alliance with hostile reptilians. Now, the reptilians and the Raptors are two separate things. All right, so Raptors are good, reptilians bad. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You following?
Duly noted.
Okay. You made a face when I brought up Nazi German elites. How were you good?
Yeah, I was just thinking, of course, fucking Nazis always got their hand in something. I learned that from a very well-made documentary called Iron Skies, where the Nazis built a base on the moon.
Okay. Is that not true?
No, it's from what I understand, it was a documentary. It's very well shot.
All right.
Found footage documentary.
Found footage, okay. No. Now, according to Richards, these Nazi reptilian forces were trying to kick off catastrophic geological events, a series of artificially induced earthquakes designed to weaken Earth's tectonic stability and open what they called a quote-unquote dimensional gate. Now, if successful, this gate would have allowed an invading force to enter Earth's atmosphere undetected and unchallenged. And also there's their base of operations was located under the ice in Antarctica because of course, why wouldn't naturally it be? So
under the ice on a continent, on a land continent. So they were under the ice on the ground.
Yeah, it's thick.
Okay.
You have to get
it's believable.
You have to get to the ground through under the ice to get to
the ground that's thousands of feet below it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't just build a foundation for a building on top of ice. You got to dig it into the ground.
You got to dig down. I get it. That makes sense.
Now,
all of this rings very true.
Yeah, I don't see any problems with this so far. So on July 27th, 1976, strange lights and unexplained aerial disturbances were observed over the city of Tangshan, China. Hours later, a massive 7.8 magnitude earthquake just decimated the region. Tens of thousands of people died, but according to Richards, this quake was no natural disaster. It was the result of the Nazi reptilian experimental tectonic weapon being activated. The seismic chaos, he said, was intended to serve as cover for mass abductions and covert troop deployments through the dimensional portal. Now, Richards was part of a rapid response counteroffensive unit, and his father, the major, led the ground assault on the hidden Antarctic base to destroy the quake-generating weapon, while Mark was tasked with aerial interdiction. Now, despite Mark being only 23 years old at the time, he was given command of one of the most advanced vehicles available. Now, this was a starship named Minerva. Are you ready to learn about Minerva?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I am so confident in the truthfulness of all of this stuff that I hope to one day fly in Minerva myself.
Oh, well, you're about to learn something about you might. Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to. I'm sorry, bud.
Oh,
yeah. See, Minerva wasn't just your run-of-the-mill boilerplate milquetoast starship. Minerva was grown from a bioorganic ET technology, was fully conscious, and said to be over 40,000 years old. The ship could bond telepathically with its pilot and rejecting those who were mentally or emotionally incompatible. See, so 9 other human candidates before Richard had died attempting to interface with Minerva's neural system. So I don't know if you.
But luckily, this guy, who's good at fencing
and martial arts,
and was also mentally stable enough, even though he was an officer in the Vietnam War at the age of like 14, apparently.
He's super smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
All this tracks.
Yeah. So like you said, Richards was able to successfully form a sort of like symbiotic connection with Minerva, becoming the only human able to pilot it without dying. And
you know what he had to do? He had to seduce Minerva.
Is that what it is? I do that.
Yeah.
I kind of think he fucked this ship. Like almost 100% sure that this dude got real weird with it. Real fast, too.
I'll take the joystick, but first you need to take mine.
And the thing about Minerva too is that I'm assuming it's a she. I'm going to say Minerva is a girl name. Is that?
Yeah, Minerva is a girl's name. Okay. So I'm glad that a woman's name. Let's be as woke as possible.
I don't know. Well, maybe 40,000 years old is not old in Minerva species time.
Oh, okay.
We don't know how long Minerva lives for.
Like a Baby Yoda situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. My mistake for assuming your age representation.
Maybe they're around the same age. We don't know. It could be like Minerva could be like 23 in Minerva years. Like 40,000 could be young adult.
Yeah, they're a great couple.
So, so Minerva's intelligence extended beyond like flight coordination and shit like that. It acted autonomously when it felt it needed to, even refusing to allow Richards to engage in missions that it deemed unnecessarily dangerous, which I feel like you don't want that in the middle of a combat situation. You don't want your ship or any tool you have to just become autonomous.
It feels unnecessary. It feels problematic.
Yeah. According to Richards, Minerva perceived its human crew as emotionally volatile, and in many cases, it would intervene for their own good. Now, despite this, however, it followed Richards into combat without hesitation during the China Gates mission. Now, together, Richards and Minerva entered the battlefield over Tangshan, joining a formation of top-secret aerospace fighters, some of them human-built, others were of ET origin. So you got, like, in the skies above China, you got Minerva and Richards, and on the ground of Antarctica, you got the Major and the ground troops fighting separately. The conflict escalated pretty rapidly as portals threatened to breach Earth's spatial integrity. Ultimately, though, the mission was deemed a success. The dimensional gate was closed, the tectonic weapon was destroyed, and the alliance between the Nazis and their reptilian allies were disrupted. The cost, however, was pretty high. The earthquake still killed an estimated 250,000 people, but according to Richards and his allies, the death toll could have been in the billions if this invasion had been successful. So I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you, Captain Mark Richards, for saving us this time.
Thanks, Captain. You're truly just a really valuable and not at all pathological lying hero.
I can tell that you're kind of getting angry. I feel like you're getting a little mad.
It's not even anger. It's just utter contempt.
Okay.
At how little this man thinks of people's mental faculties.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just none of this is like remotely close to possible.
We don't know. That's all secret. Come on,
right.
man.
I keep forgetting that. I
don't understand what you're not understanding what the secret in secret space program is, Sarge.
Right. That was my mistake.
He's a whistleblower. He's not, he can't come out with a bunch of classified documents. That'd be insane.
Oh yeah. No, he's 100% a whistleblower. It's just tooting away.
All right. Now, it was this operation that solidified Richard's status within the secret command structure. He was recognized not just for his tactical competence, but for the unique bond he had formed with Minerva, the sentient spaceship, which would play huge roles in many of his later missions. So, in the months following the Battle of China Gates, Richard was elevated to a more strategic role within the secret space program. His success during that mission and his compatibility with Minerva had made him a unique asset. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was one of the only humans capable of coordinating ET technology with human command structures. And that capability would be tested again in September of 1977 during a large-scale conflict that would become known as the Battle of Harvest Moon. You familiar with the battle? You've heard about this? You've seen this shit? You heard about this?
I feel like that was the original title for Star Wars, wasn't it? No, it was Blue Harvest. It was the original title of Star Wars. My mistake.
The events leading up to this operation began when long range. Oh my God! Why can't I say this word? Now, the events leading up to this operation began when long-range reconnaissance units in the secret space program detected the mobilization of an alien fleet in the outer solar system.
Like you do.
Yeah. SSP intelligence confirmed that a coalition of hostile ET species was amassing near Saturn.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are we just going to blow past the fact that you abbreviated secret space program?
Yeah. Sorry. You want to take that again? Here we go.
No. I like it. The SSP.
One more time. All right. So, Secret Space Program intelligence confirmed that a coalition of hostile ET species was messing near
the
Saturn.
SSP.
Yeah, preparing for an assault on Earth's moon. Now, sorry, you're probably thinking, why would they want to attack the moon?
Right.
Well, their target wasn't the moon itself, obviously, but a classified installation on the moon known as the Rockefeller Base.
Oh, of course. The Rockefellers are involved. Why didn't I think about that sooner? Hopefully the Bilderberg Group is up there. Maybe even the Illuminati.
It's possible. We'll find out.
And the Rothschilds.
We'll find out, won't we? Now,
the Queen of England.
This base is a secret lunar colony established through breakaway technology, post-war Nazi engineering, and corporate black funding. The base served as both a staging ground for interplanetary missions and a critical defense node within the Earth-Moon security system, which I'm sure you're familiar with. We all know that now.
Yeah, the EMSS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, everyone knows the EMSS, the Earth-Moon security system.
So when the threat of this attack became imminent, Richards and his father, the Major, were brought in to coordinate Earth's response. Now,
Major Dad.
Now, what made this mission different than the others was the emergence of an unexpected ally. Can you guess who this ally could be?
Martians.
No. That's such an easy guess. Why would you even say it? Like, come on. That's obvious. It's
My
not
mistake.
that.
My mistake.
It was a fleet of advanced Nazi flying saucers that were thought to have been destroyed in the aftermath of World War II.
This is what I saw in Iron Sky. Okay.
Yeah, see?
Now we're getting somewhere.
Now, even though this Nazi breakaway faction has been, up to this point, historically adversarial, they viewed the alien invasion force as a greater threat and agreed to join in on the defense of the moon. So together, the SSP, the Nazis, and a whole host of alien allies teamed up and organized an orbital defense operation with Mark and Minerva tasked with frontline defense during like the initial strike phase, I guess you would call it. Now, what followed next was one of the most intense recorded battles in the history of the SSP. In his post-mission debrief, Mark described the battle as, quote, a scene beyond fiction. Now, this conflict only lasted 90 seconds in real time, but encompassed the destruction of entire fleets, the deaths of thousands of beings, and the obliteration of ships that represented planet-scale economic investments. With the battle taking place in the space surrounding the moon and briefly on its moon surface, like near the secret base, Mark described the assault as overwhelmingly chaotic. Weaponized gravity, plasma artillery, and telepathic disruption were all deployed in what he called, quote, a convergence of the best science of a dozen civilizations, end quote. Good?
Yep.
Okay. But,
can I ask?
Yeah.
And this is just it's a minor detail.
You
but
can
the
ask.
bad guys in
Well,
this.
I
since
know.
the Nazis had teamed up with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Were they fighting space Jews? The ones that Marjorie Taylor Greene's afraid of?
I mean, I'm sure this is all some sort of fucked up dog whistle.
Anti-Semitic.
There's no way it's not.
The enemy aliens. We tried to make peace with them, but they refused to eat bagels.
It's gotta be, but ultimately, the hostile fleet was defeated. The Rockefeller base was saved, and Earth's presence on the moon remains secure.
Well, I'm glad the Rockefellers is safe because God knows they've been through enough.
I don't think they're there. I think the base is just named that.
It's a weird name for a base.
Is it?
Yeah, because normally we name bases after like, I don't know, heroes.
Well, maybe they did something in the secret space program before this that I don't know about. Like maybe they did.
Back during the steampunk era, when they had steam-powered locomotives that could go to space.
Dude, you got to remember, it's all secret.
That's true.
I don't know why they name these things the way they do. Maybe they help. I don't know, dude. Anyways, but following his successful leadership during the Harvest Moon conflict, Captain Mark Richards was assigned command of one of Earth's most secretive interagency operations, which is Operation Moondust. Now, this was originally established to recover and study unidentified aerial technology. Moondust's scope had expanded by the late 1970s to include extraterrestrial contact, intelligence gathering, and technology retrieval under extreme conditions. So in 1978, Richards led one of the program's most critical missions. See, a UFO had crashed in the mountains in Bolivia. drawing the attention of multiple covert groups, including foreign special forces, private intelligence contractors, and suspected non-human operatives. The area became a flashpoint in the global shadow war for advanced alien technology. So Richards was placed in command of the U.S. retrieval team, and their objectives were two things: secure the downed craft and contain or neutralize any remaining threats in the area. Now, according to post-mission accounts, Richards' unit successfully repelled rival teams and recovered the alien vehicle. What made this operation especially significant was there were survivors. So So the crash survivors were described as small insectoid beings. They were unfamiliar to Richards or his team. It's like a new species of alien that they've never come across. And rather than resist, the creatures surrendered peacefully, reportedly traumatized and disoriented.
They later became Casey and the Sunshine Band.
I don't know what that means.
Do a little dance, make a little love, get down tight.
I know what that, right.
So, it's not my fault that you don't know good music.
I know who they are, but I don't understand why these traumatized and disoriented insectoid aliens would become Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Because obviously every time someone goes through a traumatic experience, you immediately turn to disco and funk.
I'm going to let you sit in that. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to let you sit in that. Sit in your shame. All right. So, now let me get through this sentence. Richards facilitated communication with them and negotiated their safety, offering them political asylum under a secret Earth alliance in exchange for information and technological cooperation. This event was seen internationally as a diplomatic milestone. Richards just wasn't recovering hardware. He was building alliances with off-world species and broadening humanity's network of non-human partners. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they played that funky music, white boy.
Okay, so 1 year later, in August of 1979, Richards was given command of a long-range peacekeeping assignment deep within the asteroid belt. A diplomatic summit was scheduled to take place on Vesta, which is one of the largest asteroids in the belt that was designated like a neutral site by multiple interstellar factions. Commanding an Orion-class battleship, which is a massive nuclear-powered deep space vessel, Richards was tasked with ensuring the safety of the proceedings and serving as Earth's military envoy there. The peace talks involved numerous alien species, each with conflicting agendas and somewhat volatile histories amongst one another.
Yeah.
So Richards was expected to maintain neutrality, oversee security protocols, and manage any potential sabotage attempts during the summit. So
yeah, I mean, you got to be careful when you have the Ugnaughts and the Sand People. You got to keep them separated.
Yeah. Are they called the Tuscan Raiders? I feel like calling them Sand People is a little...
The Tuscan Raiders, yeah, right.
It's a little...
Right, but I feel like that's a racist term. I believe Sand People is the preferred.
I think... is it? I don't know. I never looked at it.
It might be the other way around, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah. Raider is such a negative connotation. Anyway, the Tuscan peoples and the Ugnaughts do not get along.
So the mission escalated when a hostile insectoid faction, unrelated to the Bolivia bugs, launched a surprise ambush on the asteroid during the summit. Their objective was to assassinate key representatives and disrupt the treaty process. Richards and his crew quickly responded, utilizing the Orion ship's heavy weapons systems and Minerva's rapid deployment capabilities. They intercepted and destroyed the attacking vessels. No delegates were harmed. The summit continued as planned, and the peace agreement was finalized under the protection of Earth's contingent. So, for his actions on Vesta, Richards was commended by both human and non-human leadership, solidifying his reputation as a commander capable of operating under extreme conditions in high-risk political situations.
At the ripe old age of 26.
He's not even in his 30s
I just want to draw attention. Yeah, this is a guy who has done more in his 20s than most people have done in their entire lives. So,
yeah. No. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. I'm proud of him.
Yeah. Some would say it's almost unbelievable. But
almost.
But the most significant and controversial mission of his career was still ahead of him. So this is something you probably heard of. I would assume, maybe. In late 1979, whispers from deep within the intelligence community pointed to ongoing human experimentation at a facility long rumored to exist beneath Dulce, New Mexico, the Dulce base. Now, according to insiders, there was a joint human-alien laboratory operated in violation of ancient interspecies treaties, and these reports suggested that non-consensual experiments were being conducted on abducted civilians by a rogue faction of gray aliens aided by compromised human collaborators. The evidence, though classified, was considered credible enough to trigger a response from, you guessed it, Captain Richards and the Major. They were tasked with leading the operation, and according to...
This is starting to sound like a band.
Captain Richards and the Major?
This is like Captain and Tennille.
Yeah. Now, according to restricted briefings later shared in select intelligence circles, funding and logistical support for the raid came not just from secret military channels, but allegedly from private financiers, including billionaire Ross Perot, who was said to have been appalled by the reports of human abuse.
Honestly, the least surprising thing about this entire story is that Ross Perot is involved. If any of this were real, it would be Ross Perot throwing money at aliens.
Yeah, that's probably... Anyway, so in November of 1970...
Before you continue, I do want to... I know it sounded like I was making fun of this, but the Dulce underground bases that you were talking about, they're called DUMBs.
No, I know.
It is the Dulce underground military base. Well, I'm trying to just enlighten the audience. I wasn't poo-pooing the underground bases by any stretch.
Well, no, they're real. And at the bottom of it, in 1979, they were doing experiments on humans.
Yeah.
We all know this. Now,
yep. That's why I don't have wisdom teeth anymore.
So in November of 1979, Richards led...
Yeah, they put something in the water.
Is that what it is?
And so those of us who are enlightened beings never grew wisdom teeth. See, I can lie too.
I don't think that's what the experiments were. Actually, we're going to get into it right now.
All right, fine.
So in November of 1979, Richards led a multi-pronged assault on the base. Strike teams entered the facility through underground tunnels using experimental transport technology. What followed was described as brutal, close quarters engagement through dark, claustrophobic corridors. They were fighting against gray biosoldiers and genetically engineered hybrids created in on-site laboratories. Richard's unit was tasked with locating and freeing human prisoners, many of whom were found emaciated and in critical condition. The teams neutralized enemy forces, destroyed vital sections of the lab, and successfully extracted dozens of survivors. The mission, again, classified as a success.
Naturally.
But details of the operation, obviously, they remain sealed. Can't just let the public know all about that.
No, you can't tell the public about it. That would ruin the secrecy and believability of this whole thing.
Yeah. So by 1980, Captain Mark Richards had supposedly done pretty much it all. He was a master tactician in galactic war, the only human trusted to pilot Minerva, the sentient spaceship.
Incredible.
He'd flown missions through the asteroid belt, fought with Nazi saucers over the moon, and forged peace treaties with many alien species light years from Earth. He was called the Pendragon of the Space Command, which is a title pulled from Arthurian legend and given to a man said to be humanity's greatest interstellar protector. He was a warrior, a peacekeeper, a peacemaker. He was also a myth in motion. But now, Sarge, as I'm sure you guessed, but what if I told you that none of this was real?
I would believe you immediately because none of this sounds real.
Yeah. So what if every off-world mission, every alien alliance, every battle for Earth survival was actually just a story told from behind bars? Because here's the truth, Sarge. Mark Richards is not a war hero. He is a convicted murderer serving life without parole in the California prison system since 1982.
Now it all makes sense.
He never served in the military. His rank of captain is completely made up. There's no classified space fleet, no Raptor prints, no secret lunar base. The entire saga, the sentient ship, the Dulce raid, the asteroid diplomacy.
Not the asteroid diplomacy. That's fake too.
This was all constructed over years of interviews, but not with government whistleblowers, not with intelligence officers, but with Carrie Cassidy, a UFO disclosure vlogger and conspiracy influencer who built her platform, Project Camelot, on unverified testimony, shadowy insiders, and fringe beliefs. Richards gave her everything, every detail, every battle, every lie. And while he claimed to be humanity's last line of defense against alien invasion, the truth is that he's been in maximum security jail since the Reagan administration. Now, do you want to know why?
Because he murdered a guy?
Because in 1982, Mark Richards was convicted for orchestrating the brutal murder of Richard Baldwin as part of a delusional conspiracy known as the Pendragon Plot, which is what we are going to be covering next episode.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This is amazing to me. I love shit like this because the only thing that makes absolute lunacy better is when it bleeds into real life and then the lunatic is faced with reality.
Yeah. So basically, we'll get into it. Mark Richards, he had a failing business. He hired 2 kids and he convinced those 2 kids that he was going to become king of like the Bay Area. And he promised one of them lordship over like an island by Alcatraz. He like started a small cult and then murdered one of his best friends to steal all his money to get to fund the Pendragon plot.
Just amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
this is not where I thought this was going, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, so next week we'll cover the reason why he's in jail, and it's great. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I'm excited.
We went from like conspiracy theory podcast to true crime podcast in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to this next episode.
It's if the dude, so he's been in prison for a long time, since 82. And Carrie Cassidy, who, if you don't know what Project Camelot is, it's like her YouTube channel, Rumble, whatever the right wing.
I gotta look her up.
So she heard about him somehow. I don't know how, but so she went and she goes to visit him in prison, and since she can't bring recording equipment with her, she goes and he tells her all this fucking crazy bullshit, and she writes it down, and then has to come back home and then immediately like record and report on the interview she's been having with him. And this Mark Richards is like. It's kind of crazy because in the weird right-wing QAnon conspiracy theory world, this is like they believe him wholeheartedly.
Oh yeah,
they think that
wholeheartedly. These are people who unquestionably accept that 2 of every animal were put on a large boat and saved from extinction.
Yeah.
So I'm not really surprised when they're like, "Oh, you went into space and fought aliens? Checks out. It's in a book."
Yeah,
he's got to be real.
And there's so much more to this. Like, so the Raptors, that he met and fought with, they are raptors. They're just dinosaurs. They're just straight up the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park. They are smart. What's funny is that in Jurassic World, when Chris Pratt's on like those raptors, only a couple of them are CGI. The other few are actual raptors.
Okay.
They love this shit.
That would explain why actual velociraptors are the size of turkeys, yet in Jurassic Park, they're the size of basketball players.
They had to scale them up to fit with the raptors.
Right. That makes sense. Now it all makes sense.
Yeah, they also love chocolate. Big fans of chocolate.
Huh.
Yeah. Also, if you've ever been to Walking with Dinosaurs, like the outside like puppet thing, some of those raptors, those are raptors.
They're real.
Those are raptors.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty fucking crazy, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course they're real. Why wouldn't they be?
I'll send you some stuff if you want to.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Please.
The Mark Richards shit is fucking wild. And the murder plot is even crazier. It's not even crazier, obviously, because it doesn't involve fucking space shit, but it's good.
The fact that he murdered someone and thought he would get away with it, being this unbelievable about everything else.
He was going to become a king.
Wild.
You don't understand that? It doesn't matter. You can get away with anything if you're a king.
No, that's true. That's true. Oh man, this is going to be the best.
Yeah. So buckle up. We're going to dip our toes into true crime. Well, it's still conspiracy shit, but it's
a little bit of true crime, but mostly conspiracy. That's fair.
We're not going to get into like the fucking nitty gritty of like, and then he fucking bashed his brain. Like we'll gloss over all that and talk about the.
We don't want to mix genres.
All right, Sarge. I think that's it. If we go any further, we're just going to end up talking about the second episode. So
no. Let's hold off. Very worth it.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I loved this from start to finish.
It seems like you were real annoyed with me.
No, I wasn't annoyed with you at all. I was just like, I'm thinking about the kinds of people who are taken in by these sorts of things.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like annoyed. It was like a deep sadness.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also like
for the lack of critical thinking that people have where they can't just be like, this sounds silly.
Well, no, because he had an excuse for everything. Like,
yeah,
his records were, it was all secret, so you can't provide it. Or, so he was arrested by the military themselves, like on trumped up charges. We'll go into it a little bit.
Gotcha.
On the next episode, but they told Carrie that he was framed. This is all part of this. This is still all part of the secret space program. He did something or other, and they fucking threw him in prison. I don't know if it was because he blew the whistle on something. I don't really remember. But he has an answer for everything. So if
I'm really looking forward
pushback that she would give him
this part of it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's Carrie Cassidy. If you know anything about her, she does not push back. She just fucking
blindly
sucks.
Accepts it.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. All right. So if I keep talking, I'm just going to spoil it. So Sarge, is there anything you want to plug before we sign off?
Yeah. You could still get my coloring book. I know I've been beating this drum forever, but it's still relevant, unfortunately. So go to sargessupernormal.com, $9.99. No tariffs involved, thankfully. Feel free to purchase it and take out your frustration on the current administration with crayons.
Hell yeah, dude.
Or fire. You can burn it too. I wouldn't be sad. Because you already bought it. So
okay. So buy his coloring book, sargessupernormal.com. Follow us on Instagram at Cryptid Cocktail. Follow us on TikTok, Cryptid Cocktail Party. Leave us a rating and review. It helps the show a ton. It really does. So yeah. I started a podcast network, Dead Air Syndicate.
Yeah.
We're still in the very early stages. We're still working on everything. I
talked over you. What's the name of it again? Say it again.
I'll edit you out so they.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fuck me.
No, it's called Dead Air Syndicate. It was just the first name I came up with. Maybe it'll change.
I like it. Yeah. I like it a lot. That's a cool name.
Yeah, it's a very loose collective. It's not really a network, just like-minded creators helping each other grow and stuff like that. But you can follow that on Instagram at Dead Air Syndicate.
Just a couple of podcasts with raging goals.
Yeah. I think that's it, though. Sarge, with that out of the way, do you want to say goodbye and I love you?
You can find us all on the internet, by the way.
I said that already.
You just Google Cryptid Cocktail Party. So do it now. Okay. Alexa, Google Cryptid Cocktail Party. Now you can't get away from it.
Did you not hear what I said?
Okay, so anyway.
Yeah.
Goodbye. And I love you.
I hate it here so much.